Chapter 6, Build the Thing Right. So in this chapter, we look at the word, in particular, safer, in better, value, sooner, safer, happier. And there are a number of anti-patterns and patterns in this chapter. The first one is safety within safety. What we have observed quite frequently at organisations is for those people whose role it is to be a specialist around safety, for example, information security, cyber, data privacy, fraud, anti-money laundering, compliance, and so on. What we have found in interviewing people in those roles is actually a lack of psychological safety within the safety function, within the safety functions. If there's a lack of psychological safety within the safety functions, it's far easier for individuals to just say no. No to any question, no to anything, and to have a minimal risk appetite in the majority of cases. And that's what we have heard people say to us. We've heard people say to us, it's more than my job is worth to say anything other than no, because at least then I've covered my back, is what we have heard people say to us. And so obviously this is a major inhibitor to better outcomes. So the first pattern here is a very intentional creation of safety within safety and creation of psychological safety and a safety culture. Interestingly, according to Professor Sidney Dekker, the airline with the highest reported incidents has the lowest mortality, and airlines with the lowest reported incidents have the highest fatality. And that isn't because the airline with the highest reported incidents has more incidents, it's because they have a more safety aware culture and they're more willing to be open about safety, more aware of it, more willing to report it. So again, the airlines with the highest reported incidents have the lowest mortality rate. So it is really important to generate that culture within safety specialist roles around safety. Super important. A second anti-pattern pattern pair here is role-based silos. The norm from traditional ways of working is to have a silo of information security, a silo of data privacy, silo of fraud, anti-money laundering, compliance, and so on. And what we have seen is people in those roles are time sliced over many different contexts. There's no longevity of decision making, of understanding the customer, understanding the value, and just basically always speaking to somebody different and switching context all of the time. So the pattern we have found to work very successfully here is to apply an agile mindset to safety and to create safety teams who are multidisciplinary, long-lived, and aligned to value and the customer. So for example, take a bank as an example, and mortgages, so the mortgages value stream, a safety team with somebody from information security, data privacy, fraud, AML, anti-money laundering, compliance, maybe IT ops, maybe enterprise architecture in there as well, perhaps for some mandatory safety type work. And it's a long-lived team. There might be 100 product teams who are working on change, and there might be one safety team. It's whatever works in your context. Depends on your risk appetite and your risk profile. If it's very risky, there might be 2 or 3 safety teams. If it's not risky at all, there might be one shared safety team with another value stream with a low level of safety. Optimizing to your context, the point here is to optimize for a multidisciplinary team, long-lived, aligned to the value stream. And then there is a genuine, over time, what builds up is a genuine appreciation of the customer's unarticulated needs. And then what we've seen is some safety innovation coming in, for example, biometric authentication, being able to authenticate people by their voice when calling into a call center, for example. And there's long-lived relationships, people get to know each other, there's no time slicing, there's understanding the context of what's being built and what's gone before, and it's really applying an agile mindset to the whole organization. So having those those multidisciplinary teams. And then the third anti-pattern pattern pair is a fixed mindset to risk. So the starting position quite often in organisations is one size fits all approach to risk. For example, having to comply to 22 mandatory questionnaires or artifacts, optional up to 45 artifacts, having to comply to a one size fits all risk approach, which ultimately caters to the most risky, most stupid team. Whenever there's been a problem in the past, an incident, someone's gone and added another control in there, and this for most organisations, the approach to change for organisations who are traditional and have been around for a while, it grows and grows and grows and has all of this bloat, and everybody has to comply to everything, and that's something I've seen many times. Instead, right-size your approach to risk. So with your safety teams, you have a conversation, and unique to your context, unique to your risk appetite, unique to what you're building, you choose from a catalogue of your control points of what the subject matter experts in the safety team believe need to be implemented, for example, in the next quarter, in the next quarterly business outcome. So if it's payments processing and it's internet facing, there'll be a whole bunch of mandatory risk stories which need to be implemented because there's an attack surface with high implications. If it's implementing a restaurant menu application for use internally in an organisation, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, when people are eating in a staff canteen or staff restaurant, then very clearly there will be very few risk stories that need to be implemented, because who cares, frankly, if a menu is hacked? People can work out what's for lunch on Thursday. So that is chapter 6, and that is right-sizing the approach to your risk, your governance, risk and compliance environment.